It was a story made for the movies. Not the story of Jimi Hendrix's life, but that of his death, and what happened nearly a quarter of a century after it. It could only be a true story. If someone wrote it as fiction, as a novel or a screenplay, no one would believe it. Even during Jimi Hendrix's lifetime, there is evidence to show that the guitarist was abused by his professional representatives. There's nothing new about that. It's an entertainment business cliché. So too, during the time following his death, the rip-offs continued, until finally Jimi's father, his sole heir, employed a black lawyer in Los Angeles to sort out and handle his increasingly complex affairs. All went well, or seemed to, until 1993, when Al Hendrix, a 72-year-old retired gardener, went to court claiming that the California attorney had taken his son's musical legacy and sold it to the highest bidder. Leo Branton Jr., the Los Angeles lawyer who had represented the Hendrix estate for more than 20 years, was accused of getting the elder Hendrix to sign away his son's musical copyrights to several offshore companies, neglecting to say that he, the lawyer, had an interest in those firms. For the Jimi Hendrix catalog of songs and recordings, released and unreleased, Al Hendrix reportedly was paid $500,000, plus a modest annual annuity. The offshore companies then negotiated a sale to one of the largest American musical conglomerates for as much as $75 million. Then, and this is where the story gets good, a longtime Jimi Hendrix fan came to the rescue, providing Al Hendrix with the money to fight back. That man was Paul Allen, a lifelong Seattle resident and co-founder with Bill Gates of Microsoft, owner of the Portland Trail Blazers basketball team, and ranked in 1995 by Forbes magazine as the fourth richest man in the United States. What happened next? A courtroom story equal to anything novelist John Grisham might concoct, is described in the epilogue to this book. When Rolling Stone magazine published a brief history of the electric guitar, the tall, thin performer who played the guitar upside down to accommodate his left-handedness was placed in a class by himself, a mammoth talent whose pioneering use of effects like phasing, wah-wah, and fuzz tone have become part of the rock guitarist's vocabulary. Other publications in the field agreed. Said guitar player in 1975, GP has never before devoted an entire issue to the life of a particular guitarist, but now is a good time to start. Jimi's contribution to our instrument is so wide-ranging, so massive, that fully 5 years after his death, our offices continue to receive almost daily requests for information about his music, his technique, his equipment. Clearly no other electric guitar player has had the influence of this man. Another 20 years has passed, and his stature has grown exponentially. Quite simply, Jimi Hendrix was one of the most significant musical contributors, not just to our time, but to all time. In only a few years, he defined the spectrum of the electric guitar, or rather redefined it, and influenced thousands of guitarists, many of whom went on to become worldwide stars. There are things he did on the guitar that no one yet can explain or duplicate, not even given the sophisticated electronic assistance that's been developed since his death. Cynics call the death of a rock star at the peak of his career a good career move. Even Jimi himself, 2 years before he died, said, "It's funny the way most people love the dead. Once you're dead, you're made for life." Sadly, there is some truth to this. In the years since Jimi's death, due to an apparent barbiturate and alcohol overdose at age 27, his music and life story have been one of the most consistently revered and heavily trafficked natural resources in contemporary cultural history. During his 4-year recording career, only 7 albums were released, including 2 weak recordings thrown into the marketplace from his formative years to capitalize on his later success, and a compilation of previous hits. In other words, only 4 that he really cared about. By 1996, another dozen were put in the shops officially, and an incredible 132 albums and singles and 238 CDs appeared on the illegal or bootleg market, a figure that rises weekly.
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.